Good evening, hello, and welcome to Scouching Live. It is April 15th, 2024. If you obviously have not noticed, that chair over there is empty. Sam McGilligan and his real big boy day job got in the way today, so unfortunately he is not joining. But regardless, welcome. I, of course, as always, am joined by my wonderful producer, Mr. AJ Jadaro. Sir, how are you?
I'm doing all right, man. I'm doing all right.
Nice, nice. Well,
69, baby.
yeah, with Auston Matthews, 69 goals. That's quite the accomplishment. Most goals scored by a player since I was just a little boy. Um, does he make it, do you think, before we get to the ad read? Do you think he makes it to 70 in 2 games?
I'm trying to think of an analogy for a slam dunk, but I can't for whatever reason.
Uh,
But yes,
okay.
it's a slam dunk.
We'll go topical. A Caitlin Clark half court jump shot. Easy call.
Sure.
So yeah, you're thinking it, eh?
Oh yeah. Will,
Yeah.
don't you remember
He almost had it the other night in that game.
On the podcast that we were kind of projecting how many goals he would score, and you said something low, like, I don't know, you said like 54 or whatever it was.
No, I said 58, I think, something like that.
Either way, you didn't say over 60. I said
no.
I think he gets 65, but I would not be surprised if he pushes for 70, and here we are.
Here we are. Who would have thought?
Me, evidently, but
oh yeah. Okay, well, there's that gift.
I am a guru, at least
right.
On the Leafs side of things.
Right.
Except for predicting their success. That's the only time I suck.
Yeah, it's easy to predict their success. You just don't. It's easy. Anyway, welcome to Scouching Live, of course. But before we get into the actual show, we'll go through some ads. We're brought to you by Fanatics. You can use our affiliate link below, or you can scan the QR code in the chat window to provide a small kickback to the show. You can also subscribe to assist both Sam and I through Puck Preps Hockey, where you can get all your NCAA and CHL prospect needs. The OHL draft just occurred over the last couple of nights, over the last weekend, so that was a lot of fun, and Jordan Millette over there did some unbelievably good work covering the OHL draft class all season. We're also brought to you by Fractal Hockey Consulting, which is my business for hand-tracked targeted player analysis and recruitment packages for the NCAA, Europe, and beyond. The Golden Bucket Tournament is coming up in about 6 weeks, so if you're interested in getting your hockey game displayed to a bunch of European general managers and scouts, there probably won't be a better time to do it, so get in touch with me over at fractalhockey.com, and we will get you set up with the people who are able to put you in that position. So we're also, of course, brought to you by Scouching.ca. You can get a ton of data tools accessible there with tons of insight into the draft and players making their way into the NHL. Today, I actually updated the draft, so all the data that I track for all the players. It's been updated, so the visualization tool that I've built there in Tableau is now updated with the most recent data. There was a few bugs in there also that needed to be fixed, so I got in there. But anyway, that's all updated, so that's available at the partner level. And for any subscriber of the website, we're also adding an unlisted playlist of Scouching reports from the past few years as well, so you can go back and watch those if you desire. So there's that. But anyway, we got some good stuff on the show today. Of course, Auston Matthews making it to 69. We're going to obviously talk about Arizona. We're going to obviously talk a little bit about what's going on with the playoff picture. Of course, we're going to close our first block with, first half of the show with AJ's one-day scouting extravaganza. We got a couple of fun ones to go through over there. Unfortunately, Sam's not here to join us for that, but that's okay. But what I wanted to start with was the Women's World Championship, because holy smokes, that game on yesterday was simply amazing. It was a 6-5 win, Canada over the U.S. in overtime. Danielle Serdachny, who had a great game as well, one of the younger players, one of the few 2000s born players on the Canadian team, scoring 2 last night, including the overtime winner. Sarah Fillier was great last night. She almost ended it at the end of the game in the third period. Marie-Philippe Poulin, again, like captain clutch once again, 2 goals. She scored a tying goal to put them tied 3-3, put them up ahead 5-4 towards the end of the game. I also just have to give a huge shout out to the Americans, though. That team is scary. The women on the American team, man, 13 of the 20 skaters that they played this year were born in this millennium, and Canada had 4 by my notes. So the United States brought a young team, And from my view, I mean, Kendall Coyne Schofield was excellent. They had a few of the vets, Hillary Knight and Alex Carpenter and all these people who have been around for a little while. They all played great, but man, I mean, Layla Edwards had a great tournament. She won MVP. Based on what I saw, I don't know, I might have gone with Caroline Harvey because Caroline Harvey is just a boss. Great player, amazing player, just such an unbelievable skater, huge amount of skill, massive production at both this tournament and last year's tournament. I thought Lacey Eden was also a really good one to keep an eye on. Hannah Bilka. The U.S. is going to be scary, man. I don't know how else to put it, but that was my takeaway from that game is like, yeah, the U.S. might have lost, but their good young players are, holy smokes, they're good. And that's spooky because with Canada, I mean, they had some, they have a few that are young and could really skate with them and go for it. But man, especially Caroline Harvey, like she is really something. So I just wanted to shout out all those people. As well, I also just wanted to shout out the Finnish team for winning the bronze medal in a shootout over the Czech Republic. The only thing I really noted from this monstrous performance from Sani Ahola in the medal rounds. She faced 31 shots, saved 29. She faced 55 in the semifinals against the States and saved 50. So that's a nice day on the job. Vivi Vainikka, amazing player there too. I've been watching her a couple of years now with Finland's national team. She's kind of the future of that program. I really, really dug what I saw out of her in the bits of that game that I got to catch. I was listening to that one while I cleaned my house on Sunday, by the way. And I also, last thing before we move on to the next topic, I really, really have to point out a story that nobody was talking about, which is Grace Zhan, the goaltender for the Chinese team. So the Chinese women's hockey team was in the World Championships for the first time since 2009. I was in university the last time this happened. She played 4 games. In those 4 games, she made it through 3 of them. Game 1, amazingly, the Chinese women's national team beat Japan 3-2 in a shootout. She faced 52 shots and saved 50. So there's that. Game 2, they lose 8-0 to Sweden. She was pulled after the first period, gave up 4 goals, but she faced 20 shots in the first period. Hard day on the job. It happens. Game 3, they lose in a shootout to Denmark. 34 shots, 33 saves. Game 4, they lose to Germany 3-0. 43 shots, 41 saves. China took 56 shots on goal the entire tournament. All 4 games they played, they faced 172 over 4 games. And by the way, this is the best part. She's 18 years old. She was born in 2006. So she was a toddler the last time the women's team from China was in the World Championships. And she was just astoundingly just busy and amazing. What a performance from her. I went back and watched some video of some of those games of her. I mean, just a ridiculous performance there from her, just busy as I don't know what the analogy is, and nothing's coming to mind about just how busy she was. It was really amazing. I mean, AJ, we talked about it a little bit off the top of the show. Mm-hmm. Auston Matthews, 69 goals. We mentioned, does he get there? I mean,
yes,
absolutely. I would think so as well. It's to me, like 70 goals in a season is something that's so. It's never happened in my lifetime, I don't think. Oh, no, that's not true. Teemu Selanne did it when I was little, like I was 2 or 3. But I don't even know how my brain is like supposed to compute where to like stack this up as a all-time season in hockey. I really have no idea,
Yeah, it's difficult because, one, we weren't alive for a lot of hockey history. Mm-hmm. And so it's really hard to compare guys in different eras, especially like it could be a struggle to compare guys when you've seen a lot of them too, even sometimes, right? Because it's hard. Like that's what you do as a scout even. But like, I don't know. To me, this is insane. I think it's the best goal scoring season of my lifetime, unquestionably. I think Auston Matthews is, and I've said it for years, and I've gotten a lot of heat for it, but I think he was always going to become the greatest goal scorer of all time, barring injury. And I think this is just one step in that process. He's getting there, and it's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
Ovi's going to break Gretzky's record, and then we're going to watch the Matthews chase. And I'm so excited for it.
Yeah, and he's only 26. Like, some of the data, some of the numbers on how many goals he's scored in his career at this point are like mind-bending.
He's the Leafs even strength goal leader all time.
Yeah.
All time.
Now. Yeah, which is amazing.
It's ridiculous.
That's ridiculous. It's so crazy. And so for me, like, yeah, like the way I kind of did it a few months ago was I looked at, like, if you took 100 goals scored by all NHL players, what percentage of them gets scored by one person? You know, and Auston Matthews is right up there with some of the most amazing goal scoring seasons in history when you consider how many goals are being scored in the NHL. Like, offense is up now, but it's not up so much that 70 goals, like, I don't know, you probably know better than me. Who's the next highest goal scorer this year?
I think it's Sam Reinhart at around 53, if I'm not mistaken. And, like, that's a 17 goal difference, assuming 70. I'll make sure of that, but I don't think there's many players above 50.
That's a decent middle six forwards goal scoring, like a good middle six forwards goal scoring total in a year difference between second and first. Like, that's insane to me. Like, that doesn't even make sense. So
it doesn't.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about Auston Matthews all show, but like, holy smokes,
I do, and I would.
No matter how much you hate Auston Matthews or hate the Toronto Maple Leafs, like, I don't care. It's just a ridiculous season, ridiculous story.
55.
And it's not like it's okay. Still, 14 goals ahead of second place is pretty amazing. And it's not like Auston Matthews just parks himself in front of the net on the power play, bashing in rebounds all night, right? Like, he's the reason we think he's the greatest goal scorer ever is because he literally is the best person in hockey history at scoring goals in multiple different ways. Like, he just does it all. It's amazing. So I don't know. Any closing thoughts on Auston Matthews before we get into the real depressing part of the show?
I love him. Greatest Leaf of all time. Don't care what anybody says.
Yeah, I'm trying to think in my lifetime if there have been Leafs that I, like, being around Toronto my entire life, like, who sticks out more, and I can't think of one, right? Like,
the
even Matt
closest
Sundin.
Sundin.
Sundin didn't, but Sundin was, I mean, great. He was a great player, but not this, right?
No, like even William Nylander has, like, Nylander's current season, which is 97 points, is higher than Sundin ever had on the Leafs. And sure, era adjusted.
Yeah.
It might be different, but he's the highest scoring Swedish season for a Maple Leaf is William Nylander, not Matt Sundin, which is
amazing,
insane.
Yeah. Well, let's flip the subject. Let's turn things on its head and go to something really sad, which is the Arizona Coyotes,
the place where this guy is from. Or up.
Where Auston. Yeah, that's true. Okay, there we go. We threaded the needle. So here's what we know. What's happening? Nothing is confirmed. We've got to make that clear. But it does seem like this is going to happen. There are lots and lots of signs out there that this is going to happen. And the vibes are not good in Arizona. So it does appear as though the Arizona Coyotes are going to be relocated to Salt Lake City. Matt Davis, I believe is his name. No, the guy who owns the Jazz. Can't remember his name. Basically paying a real bunch of money for the team, and moving them to Salt Lake City where they have an arena already.
Right?
Oh, I think it's Matt Smith. I think I might be mixing up my Matthews. But anyway, regardless, the team is looking like they are going to get sold. The NHL kind of seemed to get sick and tired of waiting around for them to build an NHL quality arena. I think it is kind of, I mean, you know me, AJ. I am a big Coyotes guy. I'm a big Arizona guy. I'm a big desert person. If I had to choose an extreme climate to live in, it would be the desert, probably. I love it. I love it in Arizona. I think it's amazing. But so it sucks. It really sucks. But I will say I found it very funny that something like 2 weeks ago, the Arizona Coyotes social media account posted those pictures and renderings of like a massive arena complex, and within like 10 days that to me is the greasy bit. It's like they threw the ball in the air, like they took the football away like Lucy and Peanuts, right? Like they're like, hey fans, look at this amazing architectural rendering of this entire district we're going to build for you. And then 10 days later, it's like,
they're just showing the plan in 5 years, Will, when they get their next team.
Right.
That's all it is.
It's like, oh, psych, by the way, it's not happening. And we're leaving the town and we're going up the street to Salt Lake City. So sorry, but anyway.
Yeah, you love Logan Cooley and Clayton Keller. Bye-bye.
Yeah, too bad, right?
Man,
yeah, so
it sucks.
So sad. Luckily, Alex Marullo reserves the right to an expansion team for the next 5 years there.
Like,
I mean,
that's kind of the way I look at it, man.
I know,
I'd rather
but
it be
there's nobody
somebody
else
at this point. I
But
feel
there's
like
nobody-
it, but
like, that's the problem.
Dude, Arizona has had just terrible owner after terrible owner. And
Yeah,
I feel like that's what's torpedoed them. They just have people who, like I think in Morello's case, like he wants to keep the AHL team for gambling.
Yeah.
You know,
Yep.
like we got in for,
I'm not
gambling.
I'm not saying he ain't
The
greasy,
casinos, right? Like that's where the money's made. That's why he doesn't care.
I'm sure he's not the only owner in the NHL who is a questionable character, right? Like if
he's an owner that does not care about his team and cares more about the licensing he gets from having a franchise.
I will
because that's what it allows you to do. Based on what I've read, like in Arizona, if you own a sports team, you can operate a casino. It's either that or you're native. And so you get that pass by owning a sports team. And so that's why he owned the sports team.
I'm not saying it ain't greasy. I don't know. It's but I don't know, man. It's if there's someone else out there, then great, cool. But unfortunately, there doesn't seem to be a billionaire in Arizona.
If I had money, it would be me.
It's like the Bare Naked Ladies song. If I had $1 billion, I'd buy the Arizona Coyotes. Oh boy. It's really sad though. And I mean, I just wanted to do a rundown here. Like, so based on Arizona being a thing since I was 5 or 6 years old, the team finally is becoming a thing. I read today there was an interview done with Andre Tourigny, and he said that things kind of started falling apart a little bit on the ice around the same time when the staff and the players were kind of thinking like, this is actually kind of looking not so good here. Like this is, like the grind of playing in Mullet Arena year after year and not having like that NHL lifestyle like everyone else, and the fact that the team could not buy a deal anywhere. I think it was when the Tempe vote went downhill that Tourigny said that it was around then where the team started falling apart and just started losing and losing and losing and losing. And so he's like, yeah, I mean, it got in the heads of the guys and we tried to battle through it. And he's like, we're better now, but like, he's like, we just, finally we're getting a little bit of clarity, but like not really. So it's a little strange and whatever. So I don't know. It sucks though, because the team does seem to be heading in the right direction in some way. Auston Matthews, I would argue, is not a thing without the Arizona Coyotes. I would say it's a certainty that he's not a thing. He has said as much. Like he's like, I started playing hockey because I was flipping channels and saw the Coyotes on TV, I think is what he's said.
He went to the game where Ovi scored the crazy goal on his back. He was there.
That's the one.
Yeah,
all right, then.
He was there for that.
This goes also in hand with the Puck Preps people. Shouts out to the Puck Preps folks, all of you. The Arizona Junior Coyotes 14U team won a Tier 2 championship, I believe, at the USA Nationals last week. There is now an Arizona State hockey high school championship, which did not exist, I don't think, too long ago. Arizona State University, obviously where the Coyotes play, they were not a Division I team 15 years ago. Their first season, they won 5 games. This past season, they went 24-8-6, and that's in less than 10 years. They went to an NCAA tournament 5 years ago. Arizona, like what I will give credit for, and I mean, this is where I would push back a little bit about Marullo, is like there is a ton of evidence that what he does care about is more people in Arizona playing hockey. Like the community engagement from the team has been, from what I have been seeing and hearing from people, has been great. Like people in comments of videos about this stuff saying, I wouldn't be playing hockey if it weren't for the Coyotes, right? Like they paid for my equipment when I went for, I can't remember the program they call it. But the Coyotes were doing work, like, because obviously to help that business grow, you need to introduce people to the idea of hockey, and you may as well make the investment to say, all right, well, let's get kids playing whatever it takes to get kids playing and going, hey, mommy and daddy, I want to go to the Coyotes game next week. So I get it.
Yeah.
And that's a plus. And I think with Murillo staying behind, I think that would be continuing. I feel like the operational costs of losing a bunch of money on the NHL team might give him a little bit of flexibility to keep that program going, because I feel like that is really where it's going to, if you take that away, that's where it's really going to hurt hockey in Arizona. And I get the feeling that Gary Bettman will be like, you can't just abandon this whole thing. Like, we want to go back, so you can't just dump it and just bail. But who knows? Maybe he'll try. I don't know. I'm not him. I don't know him.
Or he'll take his $1 billion.
Or he'll take his $1 billion and ride off into the desert sunset and live in an iron mansion because Coyotes fans will be coming for him. I don't know, because I don't know. I'm a little bit shook about it because I really love the Coyotes. I think I love Arizona, like I said, but just like the logo is an all-timer. The vibes when they were really good, like there were times when they went to the conference finals and the arena was like, when they copied the Winnipeg thing, the sea of white, and everybody in the crowd was wearing white, and like they would score overtime goals in the playoffs, and like the Coyote would howl in the arena, like crazy stuff. You know, I went to Gila River Arena once. Wasn't the best arena at all, but it was a place where they played. And it really sucks. So going to Salt Lake City, I mean, my thoughts are, I've been to Salt Lake City, actually. I really liked it there. I thought it was pretty cool. It's, you know, it's a pretty neat and cosmopolitan city in the desert, I guess you could say, even though everybody just immediately jumps to, you know, Mormons about Utah. But I'm pretty sure Salt Lake City is, I'm pretty sure Salt Lake City itself is statistically a lot less Mormon than like the south of the state and like the outskirts of the state, like
I'd
the countryside. Salt Lake City is a lot more sort of young, and a lot of people move there.
But it doesn't help that Ryan
state.
Smith is Mormon. So
sure, but I mean, I would hope, especially because he owns the Utah Jazz, right? Like the Utah Jazz have been there decades.
Yeah,
and
they have been.
Nobody bats an eye, right? Like it's not like they ban alcohol at their games, right? Like it's, you know, they just it's a different culture there, I think. And I was reading about it too, that the suburbs of Salt Lake City are where you get a lot more of that sort of Mormon community, rather than right in the city where like there's a lot of sports fans and there's, you know, the arenas down there and everything. But the other thing too about Utah, that, I mean, it's honestly a little bit different than Arizona, but like not that much different. Like it's a beautiful state. It's one of my favorite states that I've been to, like Bryce Canyon and Arches National Park. There's literally, Salt Lake City is at the foot of the mountains. You can go hiking. There's skiing in Utah. Like, so for the players, I mean, I think uprooting your family and moving them up the interstate to Utah sucks. You know, that's brutal, especially on such short notice and with only one game to say goodbye to the fans. That's crazy to me. But you're going to a place that, you know, it's not so bad. I mean, you know, there's lots to do around there. There's lots of beautiful places to see. It's a really cool state, so I hope it's not all bad. But God, man, I mean, I don't know. It sucks. It sucks big time. And I feel for Coyotes fans. And I know there's all the jokes. I get it. But they exist. You know, I've been on Coyotes podcasts and I've heard from Coyotes fans about, you know, Logan Cooley and Dylan Gunther and all these other guys over the years. And, you know, they're always great. They've always been great. And I hope, you know, fingers crossed that it's not too long before the Coyotes come back.
Yep.
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. You know what else I think is interesting? When this move happens, what's the name going to be? Because we've joked around about Stormin' Mormons, but it's probably not going to happen.
Probably not. My vote that sticks around in my head is Utah is the Beehive state. So give me the Salt Lake Sting or something stupid like that, and put them in yellow and black and play the Bruins.
Oh, really?
Come on in. I don't know.
We're going from the Coyotes with the Kachina jerseys to the Sting, and then
I don't know.
Black and
you can
yellow.
Make it cool. I don't know. You can make it neat. I don't know what you do though, because like I looked around about Utah and like landmarks and stuff. Like is probably going to be something silly like Canyoneers or Pioneers or
Mountaineers.
Mountaineers, the Utah Mountaineers, or I don't know what, the Rocky Mountain Extreme, just like what they were going to name the Colorado Avalanche.
Yeah.
So yes, J Mulk just says the Salt Lake City polygamous husbands.
I like that one.
Yeah, you could do that too. Someone just suggested the Mustang.
That's cool.
There's obviously options. You can think of something there.
It can't be the Coyotes though. It can't.
No, it can't. There's no way. I don't even know if there are Coyotes in Utah. I don't know, but there isn't Jazz in Utah. That's for sure. Which always is hilarious. That's always the joke from basketball that always sticks out to me, where the Minnesota Lakers moved to Los Angeles, and where there are no lakes, and the New Orleans Jazz moved to Utah, where there is no Jazz, and
so then it's gonna be Coyotes, is what you're telling me.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, maybe. Who knows? But anyway, it's the time. The other thing I wanted to talk about as well, the other thing going on is the NCAA Frozen Four has now come to a close. Third seed Denver won 2-0 over Boston College. I watched this game. It was amazing. It was great. One of the better finals, NCAA finals that I've come across. That Boston College team was just ripping all night long. Obviously you have guys like Gabe Barreau and Ryan Leonard and Will Smith, but like even down the lineup, Cutter Gauthier as well. We'll get to a bunch of the players who have now left and entered the NHL, which has been a pretty neat list. A lot of these, we'll get to it in a sec. I should keep going with the game, but Ryger Lorenz and Jared Wright, blast from the past name for me, Jared Wright, former Omaha Lancer, who was kind of neat once upon a time, both scoring goals, winning 2-0 over Boston College. But the real hero of the game is Matt Davis, the goalie. This is the Matt Davis I had in mind, not the guy who owns the Utah Jazz. These are two different people. Matt Davis, number 35 in net for Denver College with a 35 save shutout. Very poetic. It's his first year as a starting goaltender there as well. Not bad, winning a championship. So good for him. So I just wanted to throw a congratulations to Denver College. There's some fun players on that team that I have liked over the years. Definitely not just Zeev Buium, but his brother Sean Behrens is on that team. Jack Devine is on that team, and he's been very good for them. So great tournament from them. Sad for Boston College, of course, but they're going to still have a pretty darn good team next year. And we'll see how it goes. But that was just a heck of a game. And if you haven't seen it, you should go back and watch some games or watch some of it. But anyway, ever since, though, there has been a torrid avalanche of players leaving the NCAA. So I pulled out the ones that were probably the most notable. That would be Jackson Blake, Sam Colangelo, Lane Hudson, Cutter Gauthier, Frank Nazar. I think that's the main ones. I mean, Scott Morrow has left, but that was before last show. Just in the last few days, though, we've seen a bunch of them come and go. I mean, this is AJ, you've been around a little while watching these kids for a few years. Like, the American program has kind of started to take off a little bit over the last 5 years or 10 years or so. And you're starting to see the effects of that. Like, a lot of these guys going to college for a year, having fun, killing it, going straight to the NHL right away. Sean Cosgrove, Jimmy Snuggerud is staying for another year at Minnesota, which good for him, cool. It's up to this. I think it's up to the player to tell their program that they're leaving and signing a contract. So, that's a mature decision.
Gavin Brindley signed a contract, Will.
Yes, that's the one I missed. Gavin Brindley signed his contract today or yesterday.
Yeah.
It was today. Yeah, it was today. So, hey, big fan of him. Frank Nazar scored his first NHL goal the other day with an absolute rip from medium distance, I guess you could say. Nice gross. It was a pretty gross shot. Good first goal. Lane Hudson has a point tonight for the Montreal Canadiens in his NHL debut. That's good for the brand. And I can't wait.
Heartbreaker and spoiler to the Detroit Red Wings.
Which I mean, if Lane Hudson causes that, I'm not upset. Not that I don't like the Red Wings, but I like Lane Hudson. So there you go. I have my hesitations about him, but I want him to work so bad. I want him to be a thing so bad. I love that little guy. He's just so much fun. And Gavin Brindley, I think he's going to play for Columbus in their last game of the season.
Well, then I'm tuning in. That's awesome.
Yeah, I'll be watching that because, I mean, again, like, I can't wait to watch Gavin Brindley in the NHL. I mean, I watched Michigan a few times this year. Like, you want to talk about a player who can just take over a shift and just be an absolute nightmare. I had him in my top 10 last year for a reason. And yeah, he did not disappoint me this year.
I think I had him at 7 or 8. So
yeah, I think he was 9 for me. So yeah, okay. Locked On Blue Jackets is here. Oh, hello. I think Jay, is that you? Regardless, whoever it is, good show. Always a joy to join you. Just don't know if the admin is a different person. But Brindley, yeah, making his debut against Carolina tomorrow. So maybe that'll be a Brindley versus Morrow matchup, which, I watched a bit of Scott Morrow in his game that he played over the weekend and thought he looked fine. He didn't play a ton, but, not so bad. But yeah, so lots of fun things happen. Yes. Hello, Jay. How are you? Lots of NHL or NCAA news, tons of NHL news. I mean, I honestly have not been able to keep up with the NHL as much as I wanted to. Oh, Liam Ogren is another one, but he's not American, so we don't talk about him. But no, I'm kidding. But so much is going on that I might have missed something. So is there anything you would like to bring up regarding the NHL?
Well, I think we're about to get into it, which is the play,
right?
Like the picture, because we're gonna do our playoff preview show on Thursday. Because the East is going to be settled. There's only going to be 4 games like on the calendar on the Thursday, and I think at worst it's just seeding purposes that will happen in the West. But I'm pretty sure there are no Eastern Conference teams playing on that Thursday because the NHL playoffs start on 4/20, which awesome. I know what I'm doing all day. So I'm excited for it.
What do you mean? What are you talking about?
Watching hockey.
Possibly mean? Okay. Me too. I'll be there.
Exactly.
We can watch hockey.
Watching hockey.
We can watch hockey together.
What else could I be implying, Will? I don't.
We'll watch
on an oddly specific day.
Yeah, we'll watch hockey and then walk over to the Topper's Pizza down the street and watch hockey outside the Topper's Pizza, and then we'll grab a pizza, come back, watch more hockey at my place. It'll be a great time.
Sounds great.
But yeah, the West is set. I think all 8 spots are locked up.
They're locked up, just not seeds.
Yeah, the seeds need to be sorted out. The East isn't finished. There's, I think, 3 teams tied for the last wildcard spot, and it's all terrible.
Close. And they're all a bunch of teams are playing tonight, which is nuts. Pittsburgh's currently leading Nashville 3-1, so that's good for them.
Montreal's winning 4-2. Oh.
Is it 4-2? I see 4-1.
I'm on Flash Score, and it says Detroit just scored.
Okay.
They're very close apart. Yeah, never, ever. Either way, and Montreal's winning.
Yeah, the Islanders are beating the Devils, so they look like they're going to lock up the spot. The Capitals are putting on a clinic with a 1-goal lead, but they've double outshot the Bruins 1-0. It's kind of crazy.
Am I crazy for thinking that I never would have thought that the Islanders would have made the playoffs? But like,
they had times where they were in and out, right? Like they were in and out and riding the wave, but Semyon Varlamov has become the number 1 recently, which is kind of nuts. But I think we both know that Sorokin will be the guy for the future no matter what.
If things hold this way, I think the Red Wings may as well be eliminated, right? Like,
I mean, they have another game, but still,
right? But they wouldn't be able to catch up to the Islanders. The Islanders would lock up a spot. The Capitals would at this point they're winning their game tonight, so they'd be at 89 points. They have 39 wins. Pittsburgh has 38. Detroit, oh my God, Detroit only has 27 regulation wins. That's crazy.
Hey, but at least they're a +2 goal differential. Unlike,
that's true. They're a positive goal differential.
Positive goal differential, unlike the Islanders and Capitals and Flyers.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
The Capitals, oh my goodness. The Capitals have the fewest goals scored out of any team in the Eastern Conference. That is absurd. They're 14 goals behind the Columbus Blue Jackets, and they're going to make the playoffs. That doesn't make sense. That makes no sense. Win. They've given up more goals than the Buffalo Sabres. I don't understand, but they're there. I mean, they're probably going to get there. They're going to be in a good spot to do so. But
I mean, to be fair to them, they've only given up 4 more goals than the Leafs.
Well, sure, but score your way out of your problems. Isn't that the mantra of both you and I?
Kind of.
Score as many goals as you can. Defense be damned.
My whole mantra was have a great team. Who cares about the goalie? At least that's what it was, but
Fair enough.
it's however you can win, right? That's kind of the way I look at it. But man, they're just the weirdest team ever. Watching the Washington Capitals, you would not think they're close to the playoffs, but then at least in the games I saw, because the Leafs just destroyed them every time they played them.
Yeah.
Like I think like 15 of the goals against are from the Leafs in the 3 games, something like that. It's crazy.
Well, yeah, I guess it's about the density of goals against, the standard deviation, so to speak, of goals against. Maybe they just lose 10-0 a bunch of times and it's actually not as bad. But the fact that they have the fewest goals in the Eastern Conference by a pretty wide margin, by the same margin that Auston Matthews has over Sam Sam Reinhart, and Columbus has more, like, that's crazy to me. Oh boy. Hockey is crazy. Hockey is what a weird sport we've chosen.
Shows
to
you
love.
How much they rely on Ovi to score, man. Like
that too, right? Did he cool down a little bit to steal a phrase that I am never allowed to say again?
I don't think he's been scoring as much recently, but still, like he kind of, to be fair, he kind of went back to normal. Is kind of the way I would look at it.
He's
Cold
standing,
hot stretch. Yep. Now he's right where he should be.
Stand in your spot and shoot the puck. Just whatever. But he's, good for him.
Get yourself
goals
there,
are goals.
Man.
Yeah, get yourself there. Sure, why not? But yeah, I mean, for me, I mean, if you had to pick who makes it between Washington, Detroit, I mean, it won't be Philadelphia, it seems, at this rate.
Probably not.
I mean, I'm thinking Washington, especially if Detroit loses tonight. Like, that's a bit of a dagger. That's the first dagger going into Julius Caesar there.
Somehow.
And then a lot of them are coming after.
Why? Is it because they play at Little Caesars Arena? Is that why you said that?
No, but it works. Thanks for connecting that for me. I like that. Thank you.
But I don't know. I just, as crazy as this sounds, man, I picked Pittsburgh to make the playoffs at the beginning of the year, and I kind of think they do it. I just think Sidney Crosby is gonna be too mad. Like, he's just not gonna let it happen. They're beating Nashville. Nashville's a good team. They're beating Nashville 3-1. And I mean, sure, they might be resting players because hey, it's locked up. But Sidney Crosby's won 3 cups. I would bet on him to win 2 games.
It's gonna come down to the last game of the year at this rate. Like, they're up 3-1, so that's a decent lead. I mean, no lead is safe these days, but like,
definitely not.
If the games go the way they have been going, it's going to come down to the last day, which is always a tremendous amount of fun in my world. Because it's funny to me also thinking about
play
this.
The Flyers tomorrow.
Yes.
So
yes, they do.
That's going to be a great game because that's game 82 for both teams.
Yeah, and if Washington loses this game, they're tied.
And the Penguins play the Islanders.
Yeah,
for their last game.
This is ridiculous.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's amazing. The end of this season in the Eastern Conference is hilarious. I also just love the fact that all of these teams are all just not doing well at the end of the season. It's like they're all, I think, below 4 games won in their last 10 games.
Are the Islanders?
Which is hilarious.
I think the Islanders are the only
no,
team
not the Islanders. No, I mean the ones that are not the Islanders.
Okay,
so like Washington, Detroit, Philadelphia.
Teams that are fighting for a wild card spot. Because I think if the Islanders win tonight, I think they clinch.
Yes, they do. Yeah, you're right. So, I mean, yeah, I'm going to be glued to my TV to watch those because that's going to be absurd. And then the best hockey. The best hockey comes shortly after. First round of the playoffs.
That's going to be so much fun. I don't think I've looked forward to a playoffs more. No. Maybe it's because I don't have any expectations for the Leafs to advance past the first round because they're playing Florida, and I think Florida's got a real chance to win it. But like, man, I'm just excited to watch hockey. It's going to be insane. Yeah. I think this is, like, in terms of competition level, I think we're looking at the closest playoffs in terms of what teams can win. Like, I think way more teams can win than I've ever thought before. Like, the Leafs could go out in the first round or they could win. The Panthers could go out the first round or they could win. Colorado, Winnipeg, same deal.
Yeah.
Edmonton's great. Vegas is playing Dallas potentially in the first round.
I was just going to bring that up. It's
ridiculous.
That would be out of control. The thing I did want to mention, though, is the Rangers also could clinch the President's Trophy. The famous frauds clinching the President's Trophy with 114
Still
points. They're winning their game
still
last
stand by
tonight.
that, by the way. Like, I mean they're
going to get an
but
interesting matchup in the
great,
first round,
is
though.
the way I look at them.
The Rangers and Capitals. Who do you take in that series?
Yeah, that's why winning the President's Trophy can be a blessing most of the time.
And that's the thing too that I love about this time of the year too, because you look at these teams and you kind of go, man, some of the nights where you just have stinkers, right? Like, or you just make one stupid mistake and a puck goes in and you lose a game and you lose 2 points. Be really nice to have those 2 points nowadays, right? Like, this is kind of why I get it. Like, the first, I'd say 20, 25 games of the season, you kind of can hand wave away some less than stellar moments. It's the first few games of the year, whatever. But past that first quarter, man, in my opinion, like, every game matters. You got to show up and give her. Like, nights off just make your life so much harder, at least to me. So I always find it really interesting now because every team has those nights where it's like, man, we should have had 2 points, or man, we should have not done this and botched it.
Maybe this is my experience, at least in more recent years, because my team is basically always in a playoff spot and really never worried about it. But I'm always getting mad early because I want them to get off to a hot start so they can try and contend for a President's Trophy. Because, like, I don't care about the curse. I don't think it's real. The truth is that only you're put the odds of a team who wins the President's Trophy winning the Stanley Cup is 1 in 16. Let's be real.
Yep.
Maybe it's higher. We can adjust it higher because it's the best team in the regular season. But still, it's like the playoffs are a bit of a crapshoot in terms of who wins sometimes. I think a lot of the times the best team ends up winning, but it doesn't mean that you play the best team in the finals necessarily. So it's nuts, right? Like, Boston got out because Florida was a really good team and they caught fire towards the end. So
yep.
I don't think it matters. To me, I want home ice advantage all the way. But hey, maybe it's better that the Leafs don't have home ice advantage because they get better crowds in away rinks, and that's not a joke.
No, it's not a joke. I mean, what was they played the other night, and it was like as if they were in Toronto. Was it? Oh my god, Detroit.
No, that was in Toronto. Yeah. The game was in Toronto,
was it?
Though.
I might be thinking of something else then. I've had a pretty crazy couple of days. Anyway, well, do you want to get in? Do you want to get into the NHL draft boys before we go to the questions on the show?
Sure,
do you
we
want
can
to talk
do that.
about the two? So, Mr. Jadaro, take it away. We'll let the people know who you were taking a look at.
All right,
what
so
you think.
this week I took a look. Well, this week, I spent a week on it. Today I looked at Dominic Vadinka and Liam Greentree, and my thoughts. So I'll start with Liam Greentree because that's the guy I saw first. I thought he was all right. I wasn't like super impressed by him, but I see a guy who's hardworking, who's like physically intense, a player that battles, like he really does battle, and he can make some nifty passes here and there. But really, the problem is the foot speed. He's just, it's not that he skates as bad as Ryan Reeves, but it's like it's kind of slow, and it really inhibits him like from getting good chances. Like, because there were times where, let's say he had a bit more of an explosive step, he could have had a couple of breakaways, and he even had a breakaway where he came out of the box and kind of had a muffin of a shot on net, and it didn't work out. But like, I think there's a really physically intense, good third line kind of guy there, but I'm not sure there's a whole lot more. But I like him, I do. And then with Badinka, I just think he's a smart guy that moves around kind of nice, shoots a lot, but it is what it is. Like, he took a really bad shot and it led to a 2-on-1 the other way that almost went in, and that wasn't great. But like, there was even a play where there was a goal against where he kind of got blown by in the neutral zone, but he still managed to defend pretty well and then switched off, was good, like communicated with his partner pretty well that he was switching, and they did. It's just, I think the forward that was back checking missed the guy for the open net, and that's the way it goes sometimes. So like, I like him, but that's kind of where I stand with both of them.
Yeah, I mean, I would largely agree. I mean, again, you get the small sample, which is pretty fun. The fun part of it
is a small sample.
Yeah, like Greentree is like one of those guys where it's like he's gonna be as good as he is on his feet. You know, like that. the thing I love about Greentree that I think a lot of young players don't have is this ability to just make something happen. Like
That's
I
fair.
don't know if you saw, if you didn't, I don't know if you saw this in your game, but like two dudes could be clamoring all over him to try to get the puck off of him, and he could be, on the ground, and be, trying to battle
Right.
for whatever, and he'll find a way to make something happen with that, right? Like he's never removed from play, right? Which is a fact. That's a factor,
He fights through pressure well. He just can't escape it, is what I wrote down.
Right. Yeah, that's the thing. Like he's got some skill. I think he's got really good vision with the, like his ability to sort of get pucks around guys, to pass pucks to his teammates, and make little lanes for himself. I thought he was good at the top prospects game. I like with Greentree, I have him in the mid-teens ish. I think I have him a little high relative to kind of where I feel about him, but I also haven't seen him in a long time. But my read has basically stayed the same since the first time I saw him. I remember watching him at the Linka this year and going, geez, this guy's like a fourth liner on this team. Why? I don't understand why. Same thing with Caden Lindstrom. And then they start playing. And I mean, Greentree, I agree. Like the speed is not there. It's just not, right? Like I don't think there's a player I have ranked as high. I don't think I've ever had a player ranked this high who is as deficient a skater as he is, but I also am betting that he can make up for it in a lot of ways, right? Like where in ways that I think the NHL definitely, will have.
He'll play for sure, I think.
And
like there's an intense guy there who is going to win battles. It's going to be a physical presence, and a guy
bumper
who
on
can,
the power play or front of the net. Like you got jobs there for him.
Absolutely. So I see it with him. And there was also a comment that came in earlier about your ranking of Greentree and then your ranking of Ryan Leonard last year.
Right.
So I'm going to go fetch that, but it's like they were talking about how you ranked Leonard considerably lower compared to the other guys and ranked Greentree higher. Or sorry, it wasn't Greentree, it was Brandsig Newgard. I'm getting confused.
Oh, okay. Well, we can get to that.
But we'll get to that later. I don't know why I got confused with it, but yeah.
It's all right. It happens. But I mean, with Greentree, it's like you see like the way I see Greentree is like I see a guy who you see guys like him in the NHL all the time, where it's like they aren't the super fast guy, but they can muck it up, they grind, they get pucks on sticks, they're not calm but effective under pressure. And so the speed of the game doesn't necessarily really affect them a ton, but you still need to have a certain level of pace and intensity and speed in your game to at least be a factor. And again, like if you're drafting in the first round, you probably want a player who isn't just going to be a fine complementary grinder. You probably want a guy who can be a major factor on your team that can do a variety of things really well, which maybe Greentree could be, but to me, like the feet are the big concern. But nothing is unfixable in my opinion. With Badinka, like he's just grown on me all year for me. Like he just, again, like late first round pick, you get a guy who eats minutes. I think he's a pretty smart and effective defensive skater. He can get, you saw him get burned a little bit, but more often than not, you just see good habits. You see good instincts. You see him being in the right place at the right time. He has a pretty good shot from the point, which I've been watching him since last year. He relies a lot on that to generate offense. He did with Jokerit last year. But you see a bit of, a sort of a two-way guy there that I have liked. I mean, kids in Sweden generally don't play 20 minutes a night like he has, unless their coach has a really good reason to do so, especially defensemen. Simon Edvinsson, for example, could barely crack the SHL. He didn't even fully spend much time there that year. And he was a guy who was drafted in the top 10, and Badinka is well ahead of where he was at the same age, not obviously comparing the two, but in terms of where they're at in their career.
And playing, like minute playing, not...
Yeah, in minutes, yeah.
Not development, not potential.
He is a player on that team. So, for me, if you leave Badinka on Malmo for 3 or 4 more years, he grows a couple of inches in the next couple of years, stays the really good skater that he is, and there could be a really interesting player there, especially when you consider him relative to other defensemen that people are talking a lot more about in this year's draft.
Yeah, I can see it.
I don't think he's that far behind those guys either. So I guess we can go on to questions unless you have anything or saw anything that I completely whiffed on or missed.
Nope.
But I don't think so. Yeah.
The only thing I would say is ad read before. We can't just go on to questions. It's okay.
Yeah, I guess so.
We can announce something after. Something small. That's good.
Something small. Yeah, that's true. So we're brought to you by Fanatics. You can use our affiliate link below in the description or scan the QR code to provide a small kickback to the show on anything you buy in the whole store. You can also, I wonder if you can get Wrexham AFC gear from there because they just got promoted a second year in a row. I watched the highlights of their 6-0 win to get themselves promoted to League One, I think, which is just crazy. Double promotions in English football always they're great. We're also brought to you by Puck Preps Hockey, where you can get all your NCAA and CHL prospect needs. Again, tons of coverage over there from the USA Nationals across all age groups. We got lots of fun stuff coming down the pipe as well over there, and lots of OHL draft material and OHL stuff coming down there. If you're a fan of one of those teams and the players that you just drafted this past weekend are new to you. We're also brought to you by Fractal Hockey Consulting, which is my business for hand-track targeted player analysis and recruitment packages for the NCAA, Europe, and beyond, where we have solutions for any of your organization's needs. And of course, we're brought to you by Scouching.ca, where you can get exclusive access to innovative data tools, a Discord server that is universally adored by the entire universe if you ignore the silliness in the fantasy league going on right now. But in any case, we have tons of insight into the NHL draft and its prospects, players making their way into the NHL as well as the NHL itself. There's lots of fun stuff in there. We've updated a bunch of our tools over the last 24 hours. And there's tons of fun things you can poke around in there and check out. So you can check that out at Scouching.ca. So we can move on to the second half of the show here, sir.
But announcement. Yes.
Yeah. Take it away, producer man.
All right. So Scouching reports are kind of coming back, and they're coming back soon.
They're coming back for normies.
Yes.
They're for normies now.
But I've done the first edit through the Nikita Artemonov report. Will's been sending me scripts and video, so I'm getting that edited and together, and want to release the Artemonov one for subscribers to Scouching.ca tomorrow.
Correct. So if you are not a subscriber, either tier will get access to it over there. And you'll also, obviously, as I mentioned at the top of the show, you'll get access to the playlist of all the old reports because those are no longer public on the YouTubes. So yeah, looking forward to sharing those with you. They're definitely a lot more boiled down. They're definitely a lot more digestible.
They're for people with ADHD.
A lot more to the point. They're for people with ADHD because that's the way the world is nowadays.
But it packs the same punch, I think. I really do feel that way.
Yeah, and everybody that I talked to about this over the last 6 months, they said everything really comes out in the live stream. So as long as people are watching these, if they're interested, they get the note that there's a live stream that they can join if they want more answers, and they can come in here and ask. So it works. I think it works for everybody, and I can't really share nearly as much data as I used to, just for Fractal Hockey reasons and everything. It's kind of proprietary there, but it fuels the analysis, and some of it gets dropped in there here and there. But in any case,
and the plan
I'm really excited.
The plan is to release publicly on Saturday because the regular season will be over.
Yes.
So 420 first day that it will be public.
We'll be making videos public and watching hockey on the couch.
Yeah, and doing nothing else, I promise.
And nothing. No, we're going to be watching hockey. It's fine. So yeah, guys, try to have fun around here.
So please,
sub up.
They're starting to roll out tomorrow, and I'm gonna try and get another one out for Friday as well, and do it every 3 days.
I wrote notes for 3 more today, and we're gonna get. Well, I don't know how many we can rifle off before June, but probably quite a few because I think it's because there's not nearly as much data work that needs to go into these anymore. So let's ride, producer man, right off into the. We're gonna take our millions and run away to Antigua or something like Alex Marillo.
I'd love that.
No.
But are you promising me millions?
No, I'm not. No, I'm not. I
Oh,
can't promise you
then I
shite.
quit. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, I know. That's okay. No, yeah. Anyway, I was gonna go off on a tangent, but no, let's not. Let's go to the chat questions. And yeah, let's get in there. And yes, I'm very excited about these videos coming out there. It's gonna be a good time. Okay, well, of course, first question comes from our graphic designer. Thank you again for your thumbnail work, my friend, Mr. Ray Bro, a longtime supporter of the channel. Question: when the old Jets relocated to Arizona, the old Jets franchise points leader transferred as well. So now they're relocating to Utah. Do both the team's stats leaders transfer over? I would think so.
Yes.
It's the same.
Yes.
The same organization, same franchise, same everything. So yeah, like.
So Blake
I would think it would.
Oh no, wrong thing. But who is
Blake Wheeler?
No, because I got confused with the Winnipeg Jets. He was also an Arizona Coyote at one point.
Yeah.
But
yes, sort of. Yeah. Anyway.
No, he was. He was drafted by them.
Right, but then he requested a trade. I don't think he played a game for them.
No, he didn't. But whoever the franchise leader is right now is
Shane Doan, I think.
Yeah,
right?
That's who I thought it was.
Yeah.
It's gonna be still that way.
Yeah. Jeremy Roenick, all-time Arizona Coyote legend. Put Sam on LTIR until the playoffs. I mean, he may as well be. He's not going to be around until the playoffs, so there's that. Real talk. All right, let's talk. Why is Zane Parekh not a Scouch guy, but a Scott Morrow is? Would you take Parekh or Lane Hudson? Well, number one, Scott Morrow was ranked right around where I have Zane Parekh, I think. Scott Morrow was 2020, I think. 2020 draft.
2021. Because that was the first year I did stuff, and that's where he was.
Right. The first year you did stuff.
Mm-hmm. Not just copy everything you did and re-upload it on Instagram.
So I had Morrow at 21, and I have Parekh at 19. So yeah, like they're both. I see them both somewhat similarly, right? With Morrow, honestly, yeah, they are kind of similar in a lot of ways. They lead with their skill. They're not necessarily known for their defending, and that kind of burns them a little bit. But, the offense, you hope, makes up for the defensive issues. I think Parekh has a little bit more offensive zone sort of flair. Like the shot quality he has is better than Morrow's was. Morrow was much more of a like you saw what Lane Hudson did tonight to score his first point. Scott Morrow was doing all kinds of stuff like that, faking and baiting and switching spots and spinning and stepping up along the half wall and making plays. Basically stepping up into the offensive zone and everything, which Parekh does from time to time, but that's not where he's constantly generating offense from. Like in the games I've seen, a lot of his offense comes from his shot, more than most. It's also difficult to compare the two because Morrow was playing prep school at the time. But to answer your question more directly, I mean, I see them very similarly because they're ranked very similarly on my list. So they're both kind of, in my mind, at the time of the draft, they're both in the same universe, right?
I think where that may come from is so you were on the Scott Morrow, you were a big fan of Scott Morrow in comparison to other people who were looking at the draft, right?
Yep.
Where with Zane Parekh, he's ranked really high, and you're not so interested in him at the spot he's perceived to be going at, right? So I think that's where that ends
it's just because I think it's just because I get a lot of questions from people about Zane Parekh of how could you possibly not like him? How could you possibly put him this low? How dare you say this about a player who has the best defensive scoring season in 40 years in the OHL? It's well, yeah, if you go against that stuff, then yeah, it's going to come off like I don't like the guy, right? Like I have him at 19 or 18 when most people have him at 10, which not that big of a difference. It's just I see his flaws as more of a problem. Whereas with Scott Morrow, he was drafted 40th. I'm looking at it now. His average rank was 37. If Zane Parekh's average rank was 37th, I would have him at 20 and go, everybody's sleeping on this guy. He's not that bad. But nobody's doing that, right? So it's a matter of context. But at the end of the day, yeah, in my books, they're pretty much in the same slot. You know, like they have similar flaws, similar strengths, just a little bit of a different kind of vibe in the offensive zone. And I think they'll both be fine NHL players. I have concerns. I mean, we'll see what happens with Parekh. I have concerns, but I certainly think there's at least a role for him in the NHL somehow, like I do with Scott Morrow, right? And I think also with Scott Morrow, I was fueled a lot more because I was hearing some really asinine stuff about him that just made no sense, and was a lot of hearsay and conjecture, and nothing was ever confirmed. He just became one of those guys that was a little bit outside the box, and then everybody was kind of like getting a little gossipy about it, of like, you know, kind of Dougie Hamilton style of like, oh, Dougie Hamilton likes to go to museums. What a weird guy. You know, it's like, well, I don't know. But like it was weird stuff like that about him that just kind of was like, well, I don't care about any of that stuff because he's a great hockey player. And like, look at him, like, look at what he does. Like, look at this stuff. So if there was the same thing with Zane Parekh or something, then yeah, I would go to bat for him. But it's just a matter of context and where everyone else has him. But to me, yeah, like, why is one a Scouch guy and Morrow isn't? Like, or Morrow is, but the other isn't? Like, well, they are. Like, they're both in the same area for me. Last year you ranked Ryan. Oh, here it is. Ryan Leonard much lower than most. This year you have Brandsteg Newgard higher than consensus. Given that they're pretty comparable players, what makes Brandsteg Newgard better to you? That's a very good question. I will say that I had Leonard at 13, and I have Brandsteg Newgard again. Like, it's the same thing. I've got Brandsteg Newgard at 11 right now, and Leonard was at 13. So they're very similar. They're very similar. Number one, I think that last year's draft was deeper than this one. So that, you know, in this year's draft, I would think Ryan Leonard would be up more near, I don't know, 9, 8, 9 on my list, something like that, which is around where he got drafted. So I think in my heart of hearts, I might go with Leonard if I had to this season over Brandsteg Newgard. But man, I mean, with Michael Brandsteg Newgard, I mean, there's a video on him that we've already started putting together, but he has this, like, Ryan Leonard is a very physical player. He's got a great shot. That's great. But I feel like there is another level of sort of an understanding of how to use a power forward style of play with Michael Brandsteg Newgard that is just really effective than what Ryan Leonard kind of does, right? Like, Ryan Leonard has not played with Will Smith and Gabe Perreault in 3 years. And those are two players who are, I would argue, elite at finding him and getting him the puck. Like, those two guys combined with Leonard, all Leonard has to do is go to the net or find some space. They'll get him the puck, right? Brandsteg Newgard is, you know, I think he needs some skills training. He's not the best puck handler, right? But and yes, you look at him and you go, man, he's a big beefy boy. He must be really physical. But it's like, that's not what he relies upon, right? What he does do is a lot of just really good timing defensively, getting himself in the right lanes at the right time. He'll make the simple and effective play in transition. He fits in as much more part of a unit, you know, that just sort of flows with the game a lot more naturally at the pro level than what I remember of Ryan Leonard a couple of years ago. The fancy stuff, the finishing and the hitting, yeah, you see more of that with Leonard for sure. With Brandsteg Newgard, though, like, I've seen him get pucks in the corner in the offensive zone, just stick his bum in the air and just reverse hit guys at 18 against men. You don't see that very often. And he's done it a few times in the games I've seen. So it's a matter of, like, you know, what do you like and whatever. But to me, I see them somewhat similarly. I would have, if Ryan Leonard were in the draft this year, I'd have him higher than Brandsteg Newgard, but not that much. Just because I think the shot matters. The shot quality Ryan Leonard has matters. But with Brandsteg Newgard, I think you're just going to get a really good middle of the lineup guy who can play on the power play in front of the net. He can kill penalties. You know, middle of the lineup energy winger who has some offensive pop. I like them both, but they just do different things, really. They're similar, but same, but different, but still same, if you get my drift. bop, 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 bop. Say nice things about Gavin Brindley. Well, AJ, do you want to just like play the game where I say a word and then you say a word and we just do that until we, say something nice about Gavin Brindley? Like, what is there left to say on at this point? Because
I love him.
He rules.
He just rocks.
Yeah,
had him ranked really high in comparison last year. Like I said, I had him at 7. Like I had him over Zach Benson. Like that's how much I love this guy. And I mean, I had them in the same tier, but I just love the way Gavin Brindley plays. He just goes. He goes and goes and goes, and that's the kind of guy I want on my team.
Well, I really hope, really hope that he works. And I really, really hope that Lane Hutson works. I really, really hope that Dylan Duke, another NCAA player who signed his contract in ELC today, I really hope
all
he
the
works.
Guys on my team. All the guys
but I hope those guys work. Like, because Dylan Duke is 5'10" or something like that, but he plays like a 6'2" guy. Like he goes to the net, plants his stick on the ice, like Brandsteg Newgard, puts his bum in the air, and nobody, if the puck is anywhere near the net, no one is going to stop him from trying to get a scoring chance off of it. Like that is how he's wired. He's a dog. And I really hope, really, really, really hope that Dylan Duke being a 4th round pick and Gavin Brindley being a 2nd round pick and Lane Hutson almost being a 3rd round pick and all of these smaller guys who, when they're 17 or 18, they are bonkers. They're lights out good at what they do. You can easily see an NHL job for them. And people don't really give them the time of day, but they do give the time of day to these tall, lanky, long-term projects who, they've got holes in their game now, but like we'll work on them and maybe they could be a second pair defenseman, right? And they go 30 picks before these guys. So to me, it's like, I hope that these guys, turn out, because hopefully it might open some minds to some different approaches with regards to certain types of players, because they exist. Like there's a couple of guys this year in the draft who are 5'9", 5'10", but play like they just can't do anything but try to get the puck from you and can't do anything but try to score on you, right? Like,
see, but I don't mind that these players go later than they should, because it just makes
selfishly, yes.
Yeah, but because if they're good, they're gonna play, right?
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter where you get picked if you're amazing. Like look at Nikita Kucherov.
If people don't want to learn, I won't get in the way.
That's why I don't care at the end.
I won't get in the way.
Like I think all these guys are going to work out in some way or another. Maybe not Lane Hutson, but I think he probably will. Like I think he'll find a way to make it work. Whether or not he's Keith Yandel in terms of like you got to play him 3rd pair and then just let him go on the power play. Not saying he's like Keith Yandel, but a Keith Yandel role, right? Like that could happen.
Yeah.
So I think all these guys will work at some level. How effective they'll be, not necessarily sure, but I'm the most confident in Gavin Brindley out of all those guys, for sure. And I just love Gavin Brindley. He just embodies the type of player that I like.
Yeah, same. And that's not because he's small, right? Like I think a lot of people
because he goes. He's fast and he goes.
I've had NHL people reach out to me since I put my ranking out and be like, why don't you like this guy? Like, he seems like he's up your alley. And it's just some guy who's like 5'9", who I've seen a bunch of times. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't think they're that great. And then I respond and I go, I just don't know if there's much there. And they go, oh yeah, we agree too. It's like, so you think I won't like players that are not so good? Like, what?
No. It's just they think you like small and bad.
Yes.
That's how they label it, Will. It's not about you looking for a specific skill set. It's, oh, you like that guy and he's this height?
Yeah, I know. It is what it is. I don't really care that much. I've learned to become like, ironclad with my takes. I just don't really care. Like, especially with regards to the draft. Like, I don't know if anyone realizes just how much work I do on this stuff. Like, all day, every day since about, I'd say, middle of October. Like, for now, this is what I do for work. Like, I do a lot of work, right? Like, I think I've logged 520 games or something at this point of players. So I've seen pretty much everyone. I think there's 170 players in my database now. Like, I've gone through a lot of names. There's only a few that I don't think I've touched that I think will certainly get drafted, but I've seen them all, and I don't know. If I'm going to be incorrect, I may as well be about as informed as I possibly can be in order to figure it out and be incorrect. But gee whiz, guys like Gavin Brindley, I still cannot believe that the Columbus Blue Jackets got both of those guys. It's poetic.
2 of my 3 favorite players in that draft.
2 guys in your top 10.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like
guy at 2 and guy at 7.
Mm-hmm.
The only other guy in that group of players that are right up my alley is Oliver Moore, and he went too late as well. So,
yep. And he could have a huge year next year in Minnesota. Holy smokes. But anyway, yeah, we're gonna stand Gavin Brindley forever and ever.
Absolutely.
Even if he turns out to be a third line guy, like an NHL guy was like, aren't you worried about? Aren't you worried that having Gavin Brindley this high on your list, like what if he turns out to be like a third liner? Because that's what we think he's going to be. Like, well, that's selling him short, right? Like, no, like that's not just what he is, right? Like, look at I don't know. It's one of those things where it's like he makes everyone around him better. Like you slap anyone with him.
He can also score, man.
And he can score.
He's
not Trent Frederick.
Yeah. Trent Frederick's awesome.
Like that's the insinuation that I was getting is like, what if he's Trent Frederick? And it's like he's not. Like that's like coward stuff. It's like, what if he's, this other player that he definitely isn't, but like they're small, so maybe. Even though I don't think Trent Frederick is even that small.
No, I don't think so.
He's more of a rock on skates, but still, you get my point.
Yeah, if you get Trent Frederick, who cares? You're laughing.
Yeah.
He's a good player.
Yeah, he's not even bad. Yeah, he's a good player.
But yeah, he's better than Trent Frederick. Much better.
Yes. Someone mentioned if the Coyotes were behind on hotel payments. I believe that was a story, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, that was something I heard about, but I can't confirm it. So.
Yeah. But I think it's a thing, but I think it was just like I don't know, it was like a clerical error and they ended up signing it, like doing it, but I don't know.
I mean,
it doesn't
to be
mean
fair,
anything. It's not a positive.
They have a ton of these errors though, which is
yes,
bad.
Yes, that is what I was about to say. Is yes, it's not a good thing that happens when you're $1 billion organization.
Well, I've also heard more stuff like that I can't recall at the moment, but I know I've heard other things of like because delayed payments on Hilo River Arena. I think that's what I'm thinking of.
That was a thing. They didn't pay their taxes one year, I think.
Yeah, so that's a problem.
Can't be doing that. Yeah, can't be doing that. Sean mentioned that they met some Mormons when they lived in Vegas. I agree. I love every Mormon I've ever met. Not that I've met a ton of them, but I have met a few of them because they love to tell you they're Mormons. When I was in Salt Lake City, I booked a hotel and I was on a road trip through the States and decided to stay in a nice little hotel and for a couple of nights when we were in the desert because we had been camping out in the campsites at Bryce Canyon or something, which is cold in the night and scorching hot in the summer, and we were there in July. So yeah, not a great idea. But anyway, we checked into the hotel and the lady behind the desk, it was a Mormon owned hotel. The Mormons there own a bunch there. There's not a ton of Mormons in Salt Lake City, but they own a lot. They buy up a lot of property. And they owned this hotel. So the lady behind the desk, super, super nice. She's like, oh, you booked so far in advance. And we had a cancellation this morning of the executive suite in the hotel. We didn't book it and we gave it to you. I was like, what? I'm 21 years old at this point. Like I'm 21 or 22. I had no idea what I was doing. Wow. I didn't know I had no business being in an executive suite, but they stuck us up there. It was great. They had a jacuzzi in the middle of the floor. It was crazy. It was really weird.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was a fun time. I did have a lot of fun in Salt Lake City, to be 100%. It was better than I thought it would be. Utah in general was just awesome. It was awesome. I don't know. And some of the most beautiful, like Arches National Park down there. Beautiful. Bryce Canyon. I enjoyed Bryce Canyon, honestly, more than the Grand Canyon. Hot. That's my U.S. National Park hot take for the day. But yeah, great stuff. And yeah, I agree. Every Mormon I've ever met, I think there was a couple I went to university with too. And they were super nice, like painfully nice, the South Park episodes.
My only experience with Mormons is through the Book of Mormon, the musical. So I have very limited.
And I don't think the people in that were Mormons, right?
Oh, definitely not. But they give no. But what's funny is there are pamphlets that are handed out. Like the Mormon church actually hands out pamphlets.
Yeah.
Like they put their pamphlets at that at every showing there. It's like, now you know what we're about, but not actually. So here's what it is. And like they use it to try and advertise their religion, even though it's making fun of it.
Right.
So at least,
hey, capitalize, man.
Yeah,
it's a marketing opportunity.
Yeah, I don't think if there was a play about or a musical about Scientology, you'd see the same thing.
No, you would not. Yeah, no. The people who made the play would probably die. Anyway, we didn't say that out loud, did we? Let's move on.
It's okay. David Miscavige is my cousin.
Right. That's true.
He actually is, though, which is what's crazy.
Yeah. Your 23andMe results must be crazy.
Well, it's...
Might be worth doing, actually, just to see what pops up.
I kind of know. My parents both did their ancestry, so I have a sense of what I am. I'm a European mutt, is what I am.
Yes. Right. Okay, so someone mentioned that it sounds like the Coyotes name is going to be held by the Coyotes, so as a trademark, so that's good. If you could travel to any European city specifically to see a professional ice hockey team, where would you go? Ooh. You know what? I would need to do some research, but some of the coolest hockey rinks I have ever seen in my life are in Switzerland. So that's one that I don't know. Like, I went to the rink in Bern one year and it was unbelievably beautiful in there. But I would say my real answer, I want to go to like Bolzano, like northern Italy, or Czech Republic or Slovakia, somewhere like Eastern Europe where the fans are insane and it's deafeningly loud in there. Like, I've seen some tape from like HC Bolzano games in the Champions League, and it looks like just an absolute riot. So I would absolutely love that.
And that's in Italy.
And that's northern Italy, in the mountains. Pretty beautiful country up there too. I don't know. What about you? You got any thoughts?
I think I'd go with a basic answer because I mean I haven't watched as much as you have, but to me I think it'd be really cool to go to Gothenburg and go into the I think it's the Scandinavium.
Yeah, the Scandinavium. Yeah, Avicii Arena.
Yes. I think that'd be cool. Like I just, for the longest time, I found it so funny that they were the Frölunda Indians. I just couldn't get over that. It was so funny to me.
Yep, that went away.
That was so funny. But but I think I want to go there and see the Frölunda Hockey Club because they've got cool colors.
Yes, the Scandinavium. That's The Avicii Arena is the arena in Stockholm that Djurgården play in.
Yes. But I'd be cool going to either one.
Yeah, I just don't know. I'm an architecture geek, so like cool looking arenas, like either a cool looking arena or insane fans, no in between, one or the other or both. Like, that's what I want if I go to Europe.
You go to a soccer game too and see that. Yeah, because when I was in Italy, I went to a Milan game because my dad and I are big AC Milan supporters, and it was nuts.
Yeah,
some dude walked in front of me as a goal was getting scored because that's how great Italian manners are at games. They're smoking in front of you and walking in front of you while you're trying to watch the game, for Christ's sakes.
Sounds about right. Did I tell you the story about going to a hockey game in Amsterdam and needing to hide what I was wearing because there were children around? Did I show you? Did it?
No.
So I went to Amsterdam maybe 2015.
Okay.
And we know there's a league in the Netherlands, the Beneliga, and Amsterdam has a team, the Amstel Tigers. And so we thought, hey, it would be fun to go. Let's check it out. They have a game while we're there. Let's go. So we go okay, well, let's see if we can get some gear for the team and show our support for this Amsterdam hockey team. So we found the only hockey distribution store in the entire city of Amsterdam, take a 40-minute tram ride all the way to the outskirts of the city to go to this hockey shop that was literally a hole in the wall. Like, it was like a booth. And it was like a 2-story booth where there was a ladder that went up to their quote unquote warehouse of stuff. And we walk in and the guy's like speaking Dutch to us or whatever. And we're like, oh, hi. And he's like, oh, you're not Dutch. He's like, how can I help you? And we're like, oh, we're from Canada. We're traveling. We're going to the game tonight for the Tigers and we're looking for some gear. And he's like, well, we don't really do that here. Like no one really goes to the games, so we don't really have that. But what we do have is we have children's jerseys that were ordered for the kids that play for that program when they're young, but they came in adult sizes. So we don't know what to do with them. So we'll sell you 2 of them for cost, like wholesale cost. We don't care. So we're like, great, cool, great idea. Here's 50 euros, call it a day.
Oh my God.
So we get on the tram, go to the game, we put the jerseys on, walk in, and who's there? All of the children whose jerseys these were for. Like there's like 10 kids, 12 kids running around the stadium, and we immediately look at one and we're like, I am wearing that child's name on the back of my jersey. That's it. That's the child. I am wearing a child's jersey, and that child is right in front of me, and their parents are almost certainly here. This is not a good thing. Like this will look weird. So the jackets went back on, and for the rest of the night we were, chilling and watching the game. Nobody was there. There was about 80 people there. It was kind of cool, but I wouldn't say Amsterdam is a premier hockey destination for in any case. It's more all the skaters there speed skate. Nobody plays hockey. The guy in the store, it was around when Daniel Sprong was like getting drafted, so I asked about him.
Okay.
And he was like,
Your
"Oh,
boy.
Daniel." He's like, "Yeah, I remember reading about him in the news when he left." I was like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, he was in the news, and his dad basically was like, yeah, he's like he was saying, oh, Daniel is basically playing against men now." He was like 13 or something. It's like, yeah, he's playing against, he was like 10 at the time or something. He's like, yeah, he's playing against the best dudes in Amsterdam. We got to get out of here. So we're moving to Canada. We're going to move to Quebec, and he's going to play in a whatever. And the rest is history with him. So he sees himself as a Canadian, even though he's a Dutch citizen. So I thought that was funny. Anyway, we're going to be here all night. No, we're not. I'm just kidding. Someone saying seconding the Gavin Burnley request. Yeah. We've done that. What would you say are the main philosophies or reasons that cause your list to deviate from what happens on draft day? Jordan Millette, our Puck Preps OHL guy, who has been having, I've been having therapy sessions with him over the last few days, and he's been just in a tizzy with the OHL draft. Even though he says his brain is not in a blender from the OHL draft, but it definitely is. I'm outing him now. It definitely is. I would say that I would think that there are teams who lend more credence to their development staff and how far they can take a player, which would for sure switch things up on me, which is fine. I would think that there are teams that value size more than I do. Like, it's not something that I don't value, but it's something that I don't really think about a whole lot. To me, it's more like how you use what you have, or if you bother at all to use it, or if you're undersized, do you make up for it in other ways? Some people might see that as a little bit more futile of an exercise than me, which is fine. I think NHL teams, in my view, might see it as, especially beyond the first round, they might go, none of these guys work out anyway, so let's just take the guy who's biggest and strongest, and maybe they'll plug in for 8 minutes for 40 games one day. Maybe more. Maybe there's something more there, but can he be a guy? Can we draft a guy in the 4th round who we can let out killing penalties, 12 minutes a night, just win faceoffs, throw the body? Who cares if they score a ton of points, right? Like, and you know what? Fair. I get it. Not necessarily my approach. I think you can sort of bridge the gap a little bit better. But I do also, the one thing that I certainly can, hand over to the NHL. I have never been on an NHL ice rink with other NHL players. I know that they're extraordinarily good, but I have no real, tangible grasp, firsthand experience of just how strong they are. I've never been hit into the boards by Mark Stone, right? Like that's never happened to me. It never will happen to me. So I have no gauge on just how much being able to not only take a hit like that, but throw it back at him. I don't have any gauge on how much that matters. I just have never experienced it. I think a lot of people overestimate how much it matters, but I also don't, but I don't think anybody on the planet generally knows what that is like. And I think that teams who believe that to counter something like that, or that smaller players will have a much more difficult time dealing with things like that, are why they might deviate. So for me, like when Nick Robertson was drafted, he went late second round, right? And I asked around at the time, I had a few people at the time. It was early in the days of this project, but I had a few people in the NHL who were around, and I just asked, I was like, why did Nick Robertson go so late? And the most common response I got, what everybody said was, he skates so hard and plays so hard all the time and is so small that the concern was that he would injure himself all the time, right? Like
they weren't wrong.
And they weren't wrong. They weren't wrong. But there was an overcorrection on that, right? Like they saw that and said, well, we'll go with someone else. And between him and that person, there were maybe 20 names, and how many of them are as good in the NHL as Nick Robertson has been? How many of them are even scoring, right? Like, I don't know. I don't know, have it in front of me. Maybe Nils Hoglander is in there. That's one.
I think Nils is higher up in terms of scoring.
He is. But I mean, like the guys in that range who have gone on to whatever. But I think that is a legitimate argument, right? Like I say it all the time, the kinetic energy equation is a half times mass times the square of the velocity of something. So so the mass of an object and the kinetic energy it has doesn't matter nearly as much as the velocity. So if Nick Robertson is zipping around there at 30 kilometers an hour all the time, and he doesn't really have the muscle mass or the strength to take a hit, throw a hit, and not separate a shoulder, tweak a knee ligament, tear a muscle, what have you. I have time for that discussion, but I also sort of look at it and go, well, I don't want to sell a kid short just for reasons that make me scared, right? Like I don't want to go for someone who is, maybe a little quote unquote safer in my mind, where I might keep my job a little more. But then I look back in 5 years and I go, boy, I really wish I just did what I was thinking and just took the player that I really enjoyed the most, because, let's say they play 80 games and they're injured a lot. How many other guys in the NHL draft in the second, third, fourth round play 80 games? And if they play 80 games and score 50 goals or 50 points, not 50 goals, then they've probably done a pretty decent job in the limited time they had in their career, and probably were better than most guys drafted around there. So it's difficult because I don't think there's any right way to do it. There's never going to be a perfect draft strategy. That's the whole point. But for me, I think a lot of it is just prioritizing different areas of the game that I might think are not as important. At least, and it all comes down to like a case by case scenario as well. Like, how do you apply your criticism of one player to another, right? Like, we're dealing with questions like that tonight already. Why is this player seen this way when you see this player this way? And in reality, I actually see those players very similarly. It's just relative to the rest of the world, I am very different on both of them, which is fine. So in it, I don't know. It's a question that I don't know how to directly answer for a good reason. But Jordan, I mean, you and I have been talking all the time, but like, I mean this as your friend. Like, I feel like you just gotta deal with it and then move on to the next thing. Like, teams, you were giving me lots of reasons for bashing your head against the wall with regards to the OHL draft. I mean, fair enough, but that's just how it doesn't invalidate the work that you did, right? Like, it doesn't invalidate your opinion. And, give it a couple of years and see how these guys do. Ethan Belchet's, for the record, the number one pick from going to Windsor, 6'5", 240-pound dude, Puck Preps had him at 10th, right? After all the work that Jordan did this year, and he did a ton of work, he ended up at 10, which kudos to you, man. Like 10th overall for a guy who went first overall, that's cojones at work, right? Like that, and when we shared tape of him with each other and whatever, or mostly you sending it to us, I saw what you were talking about. I get it. I see why you did that. So like lean on that. But if something happens where Belchetz turns out to be an astoundingly good OHLer, it would be important not to panic, but read, watch tape, see what happened there and see how much growth that came out of Belchetz, or how much improvement came out of him, where you can kind of go, okay, maybe I won't deprioritize this next time, or maybe I will prioritize this more, or whatever. But at the end of the day, like, you're watching hockey players, you have what you believe, and what you believe what you believe, and that's really it. In limited viewings, it seems like Tej Ginla is getting a lot of bounces this year. He seems to lack smoothness in his skating, handling, and shooting. Is he really a high-end player? I mean, I would agree about the
person
lack
made
of
a correction later.
Did he?
Passing instead of shooting.
Passing. Oh, okay. I would agree on that middle bit. I do think that is like, the only concern really that I have with Ginla is that he kind of he's one of these guys who works his tail off every time he's on the ice, but doesn't really, like, you watch like a Gavin Brindley, right? He works his tail off and he's fast, right? He's fast and he's skilled. He's got a great skating stride. He just zips. Tej Ginla moves his feet a lot, really fast, and he's not as quick as a lot of other guys, right? He's just going full tilt a lot of the time. And that does make it difficult with regards to puck handling and maintaining control of the puck. I think that is a bit of a weakness for him. And it just really, to me, it depends on what you mean by high end, right? Like, to me, I see Tej Ginla as potentially really handy, like Michael Brenzig, new guard, right? Really handy middle of your lineup, Swiss Army knife guy. I don't think, I see a lot of talk about Tej Ginla these days lately. I don't know exactly where it's coming from, but I mean, I see people connecting him to the Habs, but I mean, and so that's going to set off a firestorm. And if he ends up actually going to the Habs, it's going to be insufferable and horrible, but whatever. He's going to be a player. He'll be a useful one, I think, but it's because of how he's wired, right? Like, you can tell when you watch Tej Ginla, like you watched him not too long ago, AJ, like, you can kind of tell just the way he's wired, he's going to give her. He's going to go out over the boards and give you everything. And in the NHL, sometimes that's all you really need to earn some minutes. And if he becomes a good sort of penalty killing third, I'm trying to think of an NHL example, I don't know, the first name that popped into my head is probably not a good one, but like Ross Colton, right? Like a guy who's, like a more offensively talented Ross Colton, like a guy who you put him over the boards.
Kind of good though, so it's
right. That's what I mean. Like a guy who you put over the boards, and you're like, yeah, you like having a guy like this on your team. Probably a really good guy to have in the room. There's a lot to like, right? But it always comes down to, where are you at in the draft? Are you considering Tej Ginla? What else is left, right? Personally, I go with a Berkeley Catton over him, but I get it. Again, if your philosophy is different, where you go, no, Berkeley Catton will not get the results in the NHL because he is not fast enough. He's not defensively responsible enough. He's not this, he's not that. But Tej Ginla, at least you have the certainty that he's going to go out, crash, bang, boom, he can shoot, and you're going to get minutes out of him, and he can play in the NHL, right? Like if Berkeley Catton isn't quarterbacking an offense, making plays in the offensive zone and creating offense, what is he doing? Not nearly as much as a Tej Ginla, right? In general. You can have that philosophy. I still would bet on one. NHL teams might disagree. Such is life.
So, Will.
Holy crap, the Red Wings tied it. The Red Wings are tied with the Montreal Canadiens.
And the Islanders have now clinched the playoff spot.
The New York Islanders are a playoff team this season. Patrick Waugh saved them, man. Patrick Waugh for a statue. Let's go. Now the Islanders are going to win the Stanley Cup. You know that, right? They're gonna win 3 rounds.
Oh, don't even get started.
They're going to go on a run. Ilya Sorokin
It's been Semi and Varlamov. No. It's gonna be Semi and Varlamov.
Right.
Remember,
right.
He won the Vezina with Patrick Roy before. So
a 979 save percentage through the playoffs. It's gonna happen. All right.
So what you're saying? They're gonna beat the Carolina Hurricanes in round 1?
Anything is possible, son. Just listen to Kevin Garnett. He said it. Anything is possible.
Anything is possible.
Will you be doing a drive? Will you be doing a draft live stream of all rounds this year? So that's something we need to figure out. I am going to be in Vegas for the draft this year.
Mm-hmm.
So I am going to move heaven and earth to actually go to the event at least day 1. So I can't. I don't know if I will be doing a live show then. There's a lot of moving pieces that I don't know or what. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get to the draft, whether I need to buy a ticket or not. I don't know this or that or whatever. So I don't know. I would like to do some kind of show. I don't know if it's like other people do it instead of me and I'm sort of a correspondent kind of thing or what. But I do want to do something.
Sam hosting the show.
Yeah. Oh, God help us all. Oh boy. No, I'm kidding. He could probably do it. Sam and Friends, the Sam and Friends show. Anyway, but something like that. Something we'll do something because we can't not. But yes, I will be in Vegas for the draft. Everything's booked. I'm ready to party. Ready to do some schmoozing, end up in places I certainly don't belong, which certainly happens every time I go to the draft. I wander myself into a room where I'm like, I should not be here because Roberto Luongo's right over there. And a bunch of other people are there that I have no business being around. And then, oh, look, there's that sign that says NHL personnel only. Whoops, my bad. But it's that whole thing. Walk into a place as if you should be there and confidently, and no one will bat an eye. So I got away with it. So whatever. But, so the records may not transfer over since I think this is how it's actually working, that the Coyotes are becoming inactive and Utah is getting an expansion team. That is a very good point, and I think that is true, Mr. Gibson. I think that is I remember reading something like that. I think that is true.
That's so weird.
The Coyote, yeah, it is weird. Like, welcome to the NHL, right? Like, that's such an NHL thing. But
yes, let's pause the franchise record. But hey, you're getting the entire old team. You're moving franchises essentially.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So cool. Whatever.
Cool.
How does a guy like Gavin Brindley compare to another center of similar size like Alex Newhook? By the way, great username. Shaquille Oatmeal. That's just love it. Beautiful.
Though I wouldn't say he's a center, to be fair.
I don't think he's going to be a center. I think he's going to be a winger.
I don't think I've ever seen him play center either.
He played center a little bit last year, but not much. Not much, I don't think. I remember him much more often as a winger. So I think he's going to be a really good winger in the NHL. That really good one. When the Devils inevitably take Consta Hellenius over Berkeley Catton, how should I cope with it?
Just remember you have Jack Hughes and the pain goes away.
And Nico Hischier.
Honestly, Jack Hughes is one of the most fun talents to watch in the entire league. He's gonna be, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if Jack Hughes is like a top 5 player in the next year. He just didn't. He got hurt.
Well, he got hurt.
Season,
yeah.
So
yeah.
And I think he's gonna be like a fringe top 5 player his career. So just take comfort in the fact that you have such a exciting and infectious personality talent on your team.
Yeah.
Like, you have one of the best people you can have.
Yeah,
that's
and
how you
cope. I would say also, like, you cope with also saying, like, I know people use this argument with the New Jersey, like I did when they drafted Simone Nemec. I kind of went, why wouldn't you draft a Logan Cooley if you had the chance? Like, why would you not want Jack Hughes, Nico Hischier, and Logan Cooley on the same team? Like, why would you not want that? And they didn't. Okay. But in any case, who's the third line center for them now? Thomas Nosek is listed there now. Chris Tierney. I mean, honestly, if you wanted a third line center in the NHL, Consta Hellenius could do it. You know, if Consta Hellenius is the guy that slots in, Eric Holla, right? Oh, Jack Hughes is injured, so Holla's playing up the lineup. But if you have Hughes, Heischer, Hellenius, I know I'm a little lower on Hellenius, but I still think he could be a third line, smart, puck distributing center with some physical tools. That's fine in that role. Like, that's fine to me. So I don't really mind.
And also the Devils are good. Like, they just had a injury prone season, and like, they need to fix their defense a little bit and the goaltending, but it's all fixable issues. Like, New Jersey's going to be a great team. I had them penciled in to finish like second in the Metro this year, and it didn't work out because goaltending and defense. But it's not like I said. The problem is very fixable. They've got a great core, and they're going to be more than fine. And I'm excited. Like I'm kind of a Devils fan. I love Jack Hughes so much.
If I'm like, I don't know. And also, like, the Devils too, like, they could use some more depth on the wings too. Like, they like Dawson Mercer, Jesper Bratt, Timo Meier. Those are great players.
Well, they traded away Toffoli, right?
They traded away Toffoli. Like, Holtz, Palat, those are good players. Yep. But
like,
you know,
like
there's room.
Group. I do.
There's room for some creativity, you know, with the Devils, I think, moving forward. But I agree with you. Like, they're better than, you know. I think they need some defensive help, but
and goaltending. They need
goaltending.
Like, I don't know what's going to happen with Samsonov, but like, the Leafs should try and re-sign him. But if he goes to the market, New Jersey should be all over it. Yeah, because that would be so disgusting for them.
Yes, it would.
Markstrom would be too.
I missed someone's question about tagging me about how my night is going. It's going okay. I got to do this show. You know, it's pretty cool. Sam's not here. It's great.
Yeah. Wow. Thanks.
What?
Oh, I thought it was a sarcastic result. Sam's not here. It's so great being with producer AJ.
No, it's great that Sam's not here. That's
okay, well, I agree with you then.
Good. We love you, Sam. We do.
No, we don't.
We very much do.
Go away, Sam.
Well, I do.
No,
AJ can think what he wants.
No, I love Sam. I love Sam. Sam's hilarious.
Yeah. Yes, he is. He's a funny dude. I always feel like he's bigger than I think he is. Whenever I see him in person, I always feel like he looks a little bigger. Maybe I'm just getting old and shrinking. I don't know. But that's my takeaway. Anywho, so you're saying Hudson is the next Severson? Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying. Someone mentioned the top line for Minnesota next year will be Snuggerud, Moore, and Matthew Wood. I forgot Matthew Wood transferred there. I mean, I'm not a huge Matthew Wood fan, but that's a pretty good line of two guys who can shoot and a guy who can just do a whole lot of heavy lifting for those two guys. That sounds like a winner to me. Yeah,
boy, man.
Yeah. Sorry if this has been asked, but who do you see as the faces of the Coyotes franchise moving forward? Who do you expect to stick around long term? Man, so the thing that really sort of hit a nerve for me a little bit, not like I was mad or annoyed, but I mean, it like caught my attention, was someone was saying in a podcast or an interview that the Coyotes players, a lot of them were going, why did I sign here? Right? Like, I committed here. So why did I sign here? And a bunch of the guys that they signed are on really short-term deals anyway. So those guys are probably not there. But like, I'm thinking that like guys like Logan Cooley especially comes to mind, right?
Clayton Keller, Logan Cooley.
But yeah, he committed a while ago. But I mean, like, Logan Cooley was like, he stayed in college, right? Did he? Yeah, he stayed a year in college.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I think so.
Yeah. I think the 2020, so 22, 23. No, he didn't. He played 1 year in college and came over because he was the 22 draft.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. You're right.
So 1 year in college, then came over. But as far as I know, it didn't happen immediately. And there was a little bit of convincing happening. And he's in the first year of his contract, right? I think. So yeah, if I am a guy like Logan Cooley, I'm going, I gave you guys a chance, right? Like, you guys drafted me. I gave you guys a chance and you're moving me. Right? Like, you're taking all my buddies and we're all getting shipped up to Salt Lake City. And it seems like a few of the players, unnamed, are not happy about that. And so that kind of sucks. But the faces of the team, I would imagine, unless someone raises hell and wants to leave, but like Logan Cooley, Clayton Keller, maybe Dylan Guenther. He's been good this year, but I wouldn't say face of the franchise good. But I'd throw Schmaltz in there.
Yeah.
He's excellent. I love that guy a lot.
Sean Dursey's really good.
Yeah, Sean Dursey's been good for them this year.
Though he's not necessarily like a franchise level player.
Yeah, you don't put him on a billboard.
You might.
Clayton Keller.
You might right now because of where they are. But like, could a Dmitry Simashev end up being somebody like that? I don't know.
Daniil
He's
Boot.
going to be a solid guy. Yeah, Daniil Boot could be. But I think the faces of that franchise, no matter where they are, so long as they don't get traded, are Schmaltz, Keller, Cooley, but Keller the main one, Cooley the junior partner, and then Schmaltz is like the third wheel.
Right.
Is how I do it. The way it is,
I'm with you.
Matthews, Marner, Nylander, even though I think Nylander's better than Marner.
Yep. Got it. Now that the Sharks have locked up the bottom, I've been freaking myself out about Greer reaching for Levshinov over Demidov or Catton and Lindstrom.
Oh, did Detroit just win?
Did they? Oh my God, they did.
Oh,
yeah. Lucas Raymond with the win.
One of the big reasons I'd like to go to Frölunda.
Oh, dude, Lucas Raymond is. I'm so happy watching him play now.
See, do you still think he's better than Tim Stützle? Well, I could see the cope face. It's like, no, but he's still great. Like that's what that reaction screams to me.
Yeah,
it's okay.
Like,
it's okay to be wrong. It's okay.
They were in the same group.
It's okay.
It was the difference between 3 and 5. I mean, I don't know. I watch Lucas Raymond play, and I still see just a brilliant hockey player. He might not have the flair of a Tim Stützle, but holy smokes, is he ever a tremendously intelligent and effective hockey player. Such a great player. He's been great this year. They won the game. The Habs botched it. Wow. Go look at the Red Wings go, man. They're still alive. That's pretty wild.
It is. Dude, everybody won tonight.
Yeah.
Washington, Detroit,
Islanders, Detroit,
Pittsburgh.
Now Washington. Yeah.
So wait, what does that mean for Philly?
Well,
is
Philly
out?
Not playing tonight.
But they're on 81 games, so they might be out.
Right.
They might be done. That might be it for Philly.
I'm looking now. The Philadelphia Flyers are not done. They're 2 points back of Detroit.
Yeah, but there's only
they're
one
head-to-head,
game.
right? Yeah, for both teams. So if Detroit loses, they'll have a tie, but then it'll go to a tie break. And I think that's head-to-head. Is that head-to-head record?
I don't know. I think it might be regulation wins. Oh, and
if
Philly.
It's regulation.
Oh, Philly leads that.
Yeah, if it's regulation wins.
I think it's regulation wins. I'm not 100% sure. But here, let me look at the tie-breaking procedure.
Yeah, go look it up, and we'll move on to something else. Oh, and go back to the.
Okay. So first one is fewer number of games played, but that's points percentage, and that doesn't matter. Greater number of games won, excluding games won in overtime or shootout. So regulation wins. So it's by regulation wins. So based on that,
they're not dead.
They're not dead.
It's close, but they're not dead.
But they might be dead.
Who are they playing?
Oh no, they're not quite dead.
Yeah, they have 30 regulation wins.
But it's because of Washington.
Yes.
It's because of Washington.
They are on serious life support.
They are on
every
serious.
tube in the hospital is connected to the Philadelphia Flyers right now.
What's crazy is that they have to beat Washington in regulation. They have to beat them in regulation.
They have to, yeah.
For two of the conditions to be met.
They could have a serious tie.
Greater number of points earned against each other. So what is the head-to-head between Washington and Philly?
If that's what it comes down to, holy smokes.
But Pittsburgh and Detroit would also both have to lose.
Yep. They would both have to lose.
So essentially Philly's out is what's happening.
Oh, wait. Pittsburgh has 32. Oh, no. Pittsburgh needs to win because they're 88 points.
Yeah, well,
but they have 32 regulation wins. They have more regulation wins than the Islanders.
Yeah, well, but Pittsburgh needs Detroit and Washington to lose.
Yeah.
But aren't Detroit
Godspeed.
and Washington one of those? I swear to God, there's a matchup between at least two of those teams.
I don't know.
There is. It's crazy. I know there is.
So
wait, is Detroit and Montreal playing again tomorrow? Yes, they are.
Oh boy.
And
quick turnaround.
Capitals. So the Capitals play the Flyers tomorrow.
Boy, howdy. Well, I'm watching that game. I know what I'm doing.
Yeah, that's our game of the week.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah,
so
that's
you
the
know
game of the
now.
week. Easy peasy. Yeah.
Man.
Anyway, the question to be answered was about the Sharks locking up the bottom, freaking myself out about reaching for Levshinov. I mean, I don't know. There's nothing you can do about it. So just hang on and hope that Levshinov becomes a solid guy for you. Like he could be. Again, I see a bit of a Dion Phaneuf type player there. And if that's what you value, then awesome. Great. Good for you. You know, a certain sect of fans will love the guy. I don't know. I just know that those other guys are guys that I think would be much more impactful and fill a need that the Sharks kind of need, right? Like they could use I mean, they do have some skill in their stable, but I don't know. It maybe they're going in a completely different direction. Who knows? Let's see here. Oh, someone says the Scandinavium takes 5 hours to get into because ticket scanners never work. Well, that makes sense in a communist country like Sweden. The government probably makes those ticket scanners, and yeah. Anyway, I don't know. I'm making a joke. I love Sweden. I've been there a couple times. It's fun. I think another thing about big players versus small players is you are more likely to be able to sucker a GM on a player's size, even if they're unproven. That is also very true. Owners as well. Owners factor into draft picks, I think, for some teams more than you would think, because owners in some places kind of set the tone for like what it means to be a player of this team. You know, what does it mean to be a Flyer? What does it mean to be a Columbus Blue Jacket? What does it mean to be a Bruin? Is this player really a Boston Bruin? Really? Right. Blah, blah, blah. That kind of stuff. So yeah, I agree. I think you are able to sell bigger players easier. And the bar is higher for small players. I mean, it's always been that way. Like the Brad Hunt effect, right? Brad Hunt played for every single NHL team that ever existed ever, even the Montreal Wanderers, and was good pretty much everywhere until he was 33, like every NHL player. But he only played like 150 career games. Like even as a third pair defenseman you put out on the power play, he had the shot and skating ability and skill level to play. But being 5'10", I think set the bar really high for him. That's part of the reason I'm a little concerned about Lane Hutson, because he's not perfect. He's got some flaws in his game. But the thing about Hutson is like, I'm sure if you gave him a long enough rope and enough time to build the footwork and the speed generation ability that he needs to have a little bit more, you could end up with a really good player, or you could hold him to a higher standard than you would think, or for another type of player, and, you know, discourage him or frustrate him or whatever you want. So those are the things that fly around in my head, but I think you're on the right track with a lot of that. The Blues are taking Sacha Boisvert at 18th, aren't they? I mean, maybe. It wouldn't be a terrible pick. I moved Sacha Boisvert up a few spots on my list, but he's solid. He'll be fine. He's a good player. How do you fix the Wild long term? Would it be smart to package a trade for Celebrini that's centered around Boldy Rossi? No way. I'm not. No way. You got a good thing going. And, yeah, you wait out the contracts. You've got good draft picks out there. Just keep drafting. You know, you just brought Murat over. You just got a good season out of Rossi.
Brock Faber looks fantastic.
Brock Faber is a monster. Like it's gonna take time. Like this isn't gonna happen overnight, I don't think. But yeah, like you've got Wallstead on the way in net.
Exactly.
The future is really bright, so I wouldn't go ripping things apart for Minnesota at all. And I certainly wouldn't go out of my way to like move a ton of current NHL assets for Macklin Celebrini.
Yeah, like
I think that I don't know. I always feel looking back on it that, you know, I mean, Macklin Celebrini will be a very good NHL draft pick, but the cost it would take to get the first overall pick is not going to be even close to worth him, especially if you're giving up Boldy plus, for example, right? Like Boldy's got 70 points this year or something. Like, he's having like
played
an insane,
outstanding. Like when you look at it,
great.
Right now, the Wild are dealing with almost $15 million in dead cap. Mm-hmm. They'll be dealing with that same amount next year. The year after that, it's only $2 million, and not even that.
They'll get a good player in the draft.
Fine.
You know, you hope, and go from there. You know, TJ Ginla could be a Minnesota Wild guy in 2 years. That would be pretty neat.
Well, like also Liam Ugren, who you really like.
Yeah,
Danila
I like Ugren. Yeah, he's got 2 points the other night.
They've got guys in the pipeline that they can lean on, right? This is not a team that's that far away. It's really not. It might be a little bleak right now, and as I like to point out, they have the longest first round series drought because, as I always mention, my team no longer has that horrible honor.
Right.
So, but I don't expect that to last too much longer. Like maybe 3 more years potentially. Yeah. I don't know. Like I could see them, if they get a good enough team, I could see them making it out of the first round with the group they have. It's just money. So like we're talking like there are 2 excellent players worth of money locked away. Mm-hmm. Once that money becomes free, they could be really scary, especially with their younger core growing into
like
who they're going to be.
Ogren 2 points last night or 2 nights ago against the Sharks. Husnudinov had an assist. Like
Marco Rossi's really good.
It was a 6-2 win. Like against the Sharks, but like but like the young guys are participating. They're scoring. Like blah blah blah. Like they're doing fine. It's fine. Patience. Patience. Have some faith. A lot of talk about now. There's a lot of talk about the Wild. Lane Hudson looked very fast tonight in a straight line. Kind of surprised me. Yeah, I mean, the thing about Hudson, it's not like when I talk about his skating and speed, it's not necessarily like how fast can he go from one end to the other. It's like he does the razzle dazzle thing in the offensive zone, right? The skill move, the shimmying, the shaking, the going up the sideboards, going up the half wall, pinching in really deep. And when I've seen him, the concern to me is like, is the quickness there? Is that first couple of steps to create separation? Like you can deke out Mark Stone, for example, but he's not going to let you just skate right by him, right? Like he's good enough to, try to pin you or stick check you or whatever. So you've got to, if you're going to do what Lane Hudson does, you got to be quick. You got to in every sense of the word, you got to be quick. So yeah, like he can go. And the other thing too, defensively, is with the backward skating area with Hudson. Now, granted, I've only seen a bit of him with Boston University this year. Like I'm much more familiar with him as a draft eligible. So take this with a grain of salt, but like, I still feel like that is a bit of an issue for him and it was at college level. So I mean, look, I said it a billion times. I really want Lane Hudson to be a thing. I love the guy. He's exciting. He's fun. I want hockey to be exciting and fun. Like it's a business where you're putting on a show for fans. Lane Hudson puts on a show for fans. I want more of that in the sport, of course. But looking at it from a game perspective, you are playing a game to win perspective, there are question marks. And so yeah, but I'm definitely going to be going and watching some of what he did tonight because from what the brief moments I saw, he did look like quite a lot of fun. The Sharks called up Daniil Gushchin. Good. Better give him a couple of games when all is said and done and lost, may as well. I think he's a point a game NHL player, so that's not so bad. I remember watching one Sharks game this year with him in it, and he looked great. So I'm, crossing my fingers that, it's the start of something new. Anyway, AJ, I think that's going to be it for tonight. We're at 9:58. Do you have any parting words, or we just go straight to the ad read and call it an evening?
I usually do my parting words after, which I think you already know my parting words.
All right, then we'll get there.
They're a little different always, but the end is always the same.
All right. Sounds good. Well, anyway, thank you for joining us tonight. This was a lot of fun. There's lots and lots and lots to go over the last few days. Obviously, again, stay tuned for Scouching reports. The first one will be available for subscribers of both tiers on Scouching.ca very shortly. And there will be an archive put up shortly afterwards, available to all subscribers as well on the site there. So stay tuned for that. We also have our playoff preview show on Thursday, so that's going to be a lot of fun.
I'm excited. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm really excited.
Oh, dude, it's going to be so good.
We're just going to do the first round, I think. Like we're not going to project beyond that just for everybody, just so everybody knows. But we're gonna take a look at. We're gonna try and break down all the series in depth and really talk about the strengths and weaknesses of teams and try and get a good first round prediction. And then we'll take it from there.
Yeah,
we'll
we'll get a little crazy with it.
We also have to be able to do a play like the next round preview. We can't burn everything out. We need content.
Yes. Oh, Gushins. Thank you, Jay. Gushins in the lineup tonight. Right on. Good for him.
Awesome.
I'll be watching that. I'll put that on. I'll watch some hockey and put that on if you catch my drift, AJ.
I too.
I'm kidding. Anyway, thank you for joining us again. We're brought to you by Fanatics. You can use our affiliate link code below or scan the QR code in the chat window to provide a kickback to the show on anything you buy in the store. We're also brought to you by Puck Preps Hockey for all your NCAA and CHL prospect needs. Fractal Hockey Consulting, which is my business for hand-tracked targeted player analysis and recruitment packages for the NCAA, Europe, and more, with solutions for any of your organization's need, including the upcoming NHL draft. Lots of data there. And of course, Scouching.ca, where you can get exclusive access to innovative data tools, early access to our video content, tons of insight into the draft prospects and players making their way into the NHL. And again, we've updated a bunch of our tools for you. And and the other thing too, if anyone here works for Zevia Incorporated, great beverages, I would love some sort of representation. Your stock price is in the tank, so let's fix that together. That's my sales pitch. You couldn't be doing much worse, and I love your product, so let's change that. Anywho, yes. And I did see the comment, would love thumbs ups, send this to all your friends and pals and give me your friends' vitriolic hockey takes, because I can't wait. I love them.
Tell them to give us their money, please.
That too, yeah. Give us all of your money, right? Like, if we're gonna have a pyramid scheme, we may as well be outright and try just being a pyramid scheme outright.
Yeah, you guys can be the top of the pyramid scheme, the level just below us. All right.
Yeah, exactly.
So you'll make money.
The distributors,
just be everybody else that you hurt.
We want, exactly. Hurt everyone else but us, and we just want we'll fly around in private jet, we'll have a great time and then run off to our Antigua or something when things go south.
Exactly.
We'll go south when things go south. But anyway, thanks for joining us. This was a lot of fun. We'll see you Thursday afternoon at 2 p.m. Eastern time for our series finale, I suppose, season finale, literally, and then we'll go on to the playoffs, our playoff debut, whatever you want to call it. AJ, have a great couple of days.
I will.
People, have a good one.
All
we'll
right.
see you Thursday.
And Poppy's hitting 70. Go Leafs, go. Good night.
Yep.